All right, for those of our Facebook and social media community who don't know, I wanted to introduce myself and have you introduce yourself. I'm Chow Win. I'm the Chief Public Strategies Officer for the Houston Area Women's Center. We are working remotely, as is many fellow community members and agencies. And if you can introduce yourself, Allie, we'll start.
My name is Allie Jacobs, and I am the Director of Counseling and Advocacy at the Houston Area Women's Center.
Thank you so yeah, thank you so much, Allie. Before we recorded this, I have to say, you know, as an extrovert, and you're an extrovert too, I really miss that one-on-one and face-to-face. And I know a lot of people out there in the community do too, but we thought because a lot of people are on social media right now, it is Sexual Assault and Child Abuse Awareness Month, Prevention Awareness Month. It's a good opportunity to educate and share our services. So I wanted to hear a little bit about what you and your team do and how you're doing it to provide that life-saving support and care to survivors.
Yeah, so I supervise a team of counselors. We're a team of 15 right now who provide the crisis intervention, counseling support, therapeutic support, from crisis intervention, support groups, psychotherapy, the therapeutic support for our survivors who are accessing services at the agency.
And so on any given week, you're doing 40 support groups, right?
Yeah, so we have gone from and that's just support group, 40 support groups in our non-residential location and other community partners out in the greater Houston area. We had 40 groups. That's in addition to intake, so providing clients their first kind of introduction into the agency and access to support services, in addition to our individual clients who are accessing the support. So we had a very busy team, and provide a lot of support to our clients who are in different stages of their healing process. So this has provided us an opportunity to change how we are providing services, because HAWK as a whole and our team of counselors really truly want to still be available as best as we can to survivors, and that has looked to moving to remote services. So we're doing a lot of over the phone services to call clients, to still do the intakes with clients who are needing access to services within the agency, and then to continue with our individual clients in providing them their individual sessions over the phone. And we are starting to reach out to our support group clients so we can kind of check in with them to see how we can best support them during this time.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing. Emily Whitehurst, our CEO, was interviewed by KHOU TV a few weeks ago, as well as representatives from the addiction community. Those face-to-face support groups are no longer happening.
Yeah. So there are some resources that are available that the county has set up to do some support group in kind of a Zoom setting. But what's really challenging with our clients, that type of setting, is confidentiality.
And safety, right?
Safety. You really have to assume that that someone is there, and is that a safe option for our clients at the present time. So we are working to see kind of what we can do, if that is an option, to start doing some of that telehealth, where we can do that face-to-face contact. But the needs of our survivors specifically, with confidentiality, with having access to computers, with having access to safe technological devices that can't be monitored, has made some additional kind of barriers that we're still working through.
All right, but you guys are still on the phone offering that virtual support and care.
Yes, absolutely. We are still here for our clients, and that support is still available. It just looks a little different.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. We're so grateful for all you do. I was at the shelter yesterday, and some of your staff is actually at the shelter providing that care, because we don't have an option for women and children who have nowhere else to go. Right. The shelter is open.
Yeah, the shelter is open, and we're doing the best that we can, because we recognize that the increased stress, financial stress, economic stress, then the uptick of all of those things, the increased number of domestic violence calls, all of those factors have been very triggering for our clients. And that isolation is one of the things that we've heard consistently from our clients, is bringing up a lot of triggers, because domestic violence and sexual assault is very isolating because of the degree of shame. So that forced kind of isolation and lack of contact has been really triggering for our survivors, accompanied with the fact that their support system may not be supportive. So the people that they're living in the house with may not understand their trauma reactions, their normal, common trauma reactions. They may not support their decision to access telephone services, or have a space where they can access telephone services. So because of those barriers and some of the things that have come up as a result of what the Houston community, the world is going through right now, our survivors are experiencing challenges to just their usual self-care routines. So we want to be support for that.
You know, we hear that there's an uptick in calls on the hotlines, that survivors are calling in feeling more isolated than ever. We just created a flyer at Hawk to share some tips for survivors who might feel alone and trapped in their homes, and what things that they can do. We hear you and the support you're giving to the clients. I wonder, you know, with Sexual Assault Awareness Month, this is our big campaign month to raise awareness, to educate, and to honor those survivors of sexual assault. I wonder, with the programs that we have, we've had an uptick in calls. What we've seen, because we get those daily reports, is the number of sexual assault calls have actually wavered. And then two, that hospital accompaniment, that in-person support that our advocates provide to the hospital, it's not happening. It's happening virtually, but we're getting very few calls for the hospital. Do you find that concerning? Or what are you hearing?
I definitely hear that. Of course, I find it concerning, because I fear for the support that's available to survivors. And I know from firsthand experience providing support for years, how important that initial support is. What we know statistically is that 6.3 million Texans experience sexual assault at some point in their lifetime. So sexual assault hasn't stopped because of what's going on. What I have heard from some of our clients is, again, that shame and that kind of forced isolation has made it more difficult to access support. We also have a lot of clients potentially who may feel fearful to go to the hospital because of exposure. So they may not have the ability to leave the house if it's someone in their house. 90% of sexual assaults that happen tend to be with someone who the individual knows. So it's not that stranger rape. So we know that it is still taking place, that in that forced kind of isolation has created additional barriers to being able to access all levels of support, whether that be calling the hotline, going to the hospital for accompaniment needs. And then there's the fear too that takes place in regards to going to the hospital and having exposure.
Yeah. So we want to raise that awareness this month, and know, what we try to share as much as we can is support is still available. Our hotlines are still available. HAWC.org is still available. And you guys are still available.
We are still available, and we want to really be a support system for clients who want the support and deserve the support. We are still here for them.
Well, that's great news, and that's so great to hear. Allie, how are you doing as Allie, being a stay-at-home mother and an advocate and a wife and staying at home yourself?
Yes. I wax and wane. I feel like I have moments. I think anybody who's watched any of our social media and had the opportunity to see me just in social media, even in this conversation, I don't think it's a surprise that I'm an extroverted extrovert. So I have moments where I feel very grateful that I have the capacity to work remotely, to have access to, and just recognizing my privilege of having access to technological support and things where I can do these face-to-face interactions. And then I have moments where I am lonely, where I miss interacting with people. Like that's challenging. There's a lot going on for everybody. So I think it's just kind of been an adjustment. And every day is a little bit different. Yeah.
Well, I miss seeing you face to face too. I look forward to the day that our counseling and education campus reopens, that we can get back to a place of normality where you and your tireless team of advocates can continue to provide that comfort and care and that face-to-face support to our clients. We're rooting for you and we appreciate you so much. And I hope that anybody listening today can get something out of this, to know that you guys are still there. We still believe you. It is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. You know, yeah.
I think just a quick just recognition. I think Hawk's staff has always been just amazing, I think, in general. And I think our true colors have really kind of shown in this, in that our staff is working really because we believe in this mission, and we believe survivors, you know, need access to support and that they deserve it. So I think it's just been really incredible to see the agency really step up to that.
I know. And I know that this month you were going to turn your hair teal, but it had something to do with going to the salon, I'm sure.
Yeah. My sister is a hairdresser, and by, you know, state laws, hairdressing salons are closed. So we may have to have like a teal post coronavirus, just shout out, kind of like, I still do. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll join you with like one strip.
Look, I can help.
Okay. Hey, it's great to see you, Allie. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.
You too. All right.
Bye.
Bye.